So stimulus package changes. Oh my gosh. Listen, you guys, you have to understand, we had just last week, we had Mark Kohler, our tax attorney for Club Wealth, as well as my personal tax attorney, on with us to discuss exactly how real estate agents, brokers, and small business owners need to take advantage of the stimulus package that is available for all of us. And I got to tell you, here's the issue. Things have changed. Just in the last week, there's been massive changes that you need to know about and more questions than ever. What was supposed to be the case a week ago, it turns out is now different today, and there's more questions than ever. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. We're going to be answering your questions live in the Facebook group. So if you want your questions answered live, what I want you to do is go to facebook.com/groups/Club Wealth. Again, that's facebook.com/groups/Club Wealth. And so we're going to get started right now. Coach Longdon, he's one of our Club Wealth coaches. So Coach Long runs an uber successful real estate brokerage in Minnesota. And he has been gathering a lot of your questions so that he can make sure that we get all those asked and answered by Mark Kohler, who, again, is a tax attorney and is boned up like crazy on this. And let me tell you, there's a lot of bad information out there still, so pay close attention. So, Mark, thank you so much for being with us. Coach Long, why don't you start us off with the first question for Mark, and then I'm going to go into the group, and I'm going to start pulling questions out of the feed.
Yeah, so first of all, this COVID-19, right, the CARES Act is because of COVID-19. And just like the COVID-19, this bill seems to change by the hour. So I wouldn't mind start out with Mark, maybe give an update of what he knows first, and then we go into Q&A. What do you think, Mark? Is that better, or you'd rather dive to Q&A? Because I have a ton of questions.
Oh, you're muted, Mark. Mark, we got to unmute you. Hold on. Okay, go ahead, Mark. You're good.
Can you hear me? Test. We're good?
We can hear you.
Okay. So, and by the way, thank you, Club Wealth, for having me. I love you, Michael Long. Thanks for having me. Let me clarify. What's interesting is the law hasn't really changed in the last 10 to 12 days. What's happening is the SBA and the Treasury Department is figuring it out. So Congress says, we're going to pass this law, go do it. And SBA is like, and then they're trying to communicate with the banks. They're trying to update their website. And the application is evolving and the rules and the guidance, and they're trying to implement what Congress said to do. But then that leaves us all to scramble. So we've got a full service law firm, accounting firm. We're doing appointments with people as fast as we can. We've got a little wait list. We're trying to get people in. And so a few things that we've learned in the last 12 days. And then I've got some categories of different types of agents and what your scenario might be. And that might help put us in some categories. And we can do that or fill it in as we get questions. We'll see how it goes. The biggest thing is that it's not just PPP. You know, I got to get this paycheck protection program, or I've got to get the EIDL, and then I'm done. No, there's 8 pieces to this. Now, just 2 days ago, I knocked out a 6 out of 8. That's my sextuplet. You know, they call them a twofer. I don't know if you call this a sextfor or whatever. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know what a 7 or an oct for. I'd like to get that. But I knocked out 6 of the 8 benefits of the stimulus with one client. It was over $229,000 of tax-free forgiveness income. Give it back, no loan. $229,000. And over the weekend, we had a client we did 13 applications for because of all their entities and operations. We're trying to get family sick leave, family medical leave, unemployment, stimulus package, retirement accounts. There's 8 pieces to this. So it's a coordinated attack. And this isn't going to be over in a week. It's not going to be over in a month. And for those of you that are worried about the money running out, the Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, I can never say his name right, last week said, don't worry, in his press conference. And I love the way he said it. We're going to find the money. If you need it, Congress is going to give us more if you qualify. And then Nancy Pelosi yesterday said, we're going back with another bill, another $150 billion. And so the money will be there. What's most important is you realize you're engaged, you're learning, you're following. And I'm putting out a ton of content every other day, if not daily, to help you keep up to speed. Because your banker, your accountant, your lawyer, they may not be up to speed. You're the captain of your ship. I want to be a sound of reason for you. So there's a little update in general. Michael, Long, anything you want to add to that?
Well, I want to jump in with, you know, you're right. There's a lot of bad information out there, and there's a lot of debate amongst some lenders, for example, listen, you guys, if you have a choice on between trusting a lender that you've talked to or trusting a tax attorney, trust the tax attorney, please. Seriously.
And find a different banker with some different advice. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So first question then, let's clear this once and for all. Can we both apply for both idle and PPP?
Yes, yes. And in fact, let me show a diagram here just to put a visual. And for many of you that have been to the Club Wealth annual conference, I've been there 2 years in a row. I'll be back again this next November. And I want to make sure all of you are using good planning, that this works right into the PPP. If you've been doing good tax and legal structuring, the PPP and all of these 8 strategies are working for you. It's those that are shooting from the hip. And I know you agents, you're great salesmen, but you are saleswomen, but you don't want to do the books and some of this legal crap. You're like, oh, my professional will take care of it. You got to be engaged. So what we normally do, this is the trifecta, and we're going to talk about it a lot today. You got your trust, you brand new agents, or maybe an LLC or a sole prop, but you're going to work into the S Corp as soon as possible. Then you're going to have your LLC over here, which is going to hold your rentals. And then you've got your retirement strategies in the middle with 401ks and IRAs. Now, our goal is brand new agents are going to get over here to the S Corp as soon as possible. You're going to ultimately buy rentals or own your own building for your brokerage. You're going to fund your 401ks and IRAs, which are asset protected, and it's all going to flow into your trust. So when Long says, can I do both? It's more than that. We're going to try to knock out a PPP over here in your operations, plus an idle, the economic disaster loan. And for those of you that have rentals, we're going to knock out an idle over here. And when I have clients that have multiple entities, we're going to be doing idles and PPPs wherever we can. So like, again, I had a client over the weekend, 13 applications. So you got to think big. Rental properties can get the idle, but operation entities are going to get the PPP and the idle. So there's the answer.
That's huge.
So follow-up question on that. Where do you go get the idle and where do you get the PPP?
Okay, so the idle, and let's just break it down for everybody, just in general, again, we can dive deep as needed. The idle stands for Economic Injury Disaster Loan. These have been around forever. If you got a hurricane or a fire in California, you would get a disaster area declaration and you'd go get an idle. The bonus with this new idle is you can get $10,000 of grant money right out of the gate. I've got some updates for you. We've got clients that are getting responses from SBA, so we're going to get into the detail on this. So you can get $10,000 right out of the gate. Let's make this look pretty. You can get $10,000 right out of the gate. Then you can get an additional loan. And so the way I like to actually do this, it's been making more sense for people, is I'm going to call it idle A and B. Idle A is the $10,000. Idle B is the loan that can be up to $2 million, but the first 200 grand, there's no personal guarantee and no collateral, and it's 3.75 30-year. So pretty sexy. That's the idle. And to answer Long's question, you go to SBA.gov. You do not need a banker. You're going to go online. It's a 3-page, 3-window application, very straightforward. We can go through the app a little bit if you'd like and talk about it. Right on the front page of SBA.gov, it says, I need COVID-19 help. You click on it and you start going through the idle. You cannot apply for the B until you apply for the A. So it's a 3-page process. I did it with my father-in-law and his rental property in 15 minutes. I did it with my daughter, that's my marketing 1099 helper, and also a new agent. We did this app in 15 minutes. Then you sit and wait, and within 3 days, they say, you're supposed to get an email from the SBA. We can pick that up later, but that's the idle.
So Mark, I just want to add, sorry, Coach Mike.
Oh, go ahead.
SBA.gov/disaster, correct?
They've actually changed it. In the first few days, it was /disaster. Now it's got a /COVID, whatever. Don't worry about it. On the home page of SBA.gov, they'll take you right to it. Just click on COVID help. You got it.
Okay, so now there's been some discussion out there about, well, hold on, it says up to $10,000. And there's been some people saying that, well, hang on, if I've got 1 employee, I can only get $1,000 of idle. If I've got 10 employees, maybe I can get 10,000. Is there any truth to that? Is this just all a bunch of conjecture at this point, or is it really going to be structured that way?
Okay, The technical answer is yes, it does say up to $10,000, but that 10,000, all you have to do is show in this simple application that you've had damages or you need help and your business has been in business since January 31st, 2020, and you have suffered economically more than 10,000. And even the application says you have uncertainty of the future. Who doesn't qualify? Now, in a rental property scenario, so if we go back to this trifecta, ops, holdings, trust. Over here, if you have one little rental property and your rents are only $1,000 a month, and you suspect for the next 6 months I'm going to have some problems, you might say, I need 6,000 to 8,000 or whatever help with this initial grant. So that's what I did with my father-in-law. I'm going to be honest. It was he only has one rental property. He has no operations. He's going to give his tenant 6 months of deferral. They're still going to pay the rent ultimately, but he needs help for 6 months. You need to be able to explain why you need this 10,000. But I'm telling you, as you're an agent out there in any sort of real estate, it's going to be easy to say, I got damages of 10 grand, freaking give it to me, and you can get 10,000 or more. And just apply.
Yeah, good point.
Okay. Can I follow a question on that? So yes, for some agents, have a really good CPA or tax person, might already set up an LLC or an S Corp. Some just take money to their account and commingle in their personal. Who qualifies to apply for EIDL?
Okay.
Specifically to the real estate community.
This is where you're poor, and don't be offended, I'm going to be direct. This is a wake-up call for a lot of people to get a little more organized, because when the government's there to help you and you've been running around with your head cut off, it's not good. Because here's the problem. If you used your social security number for your rental and you're a sole proprietorship with a social security number, you're not going to be able to do 3 plans. You're going to be able to you can only apply as a person for both. That's it. So if you're a social security number, you're probably going to apply for these 2. You can't do double IDLs. Now, this is where what I love is if I have my client that has an LLC, we get you an EIN and you go open a bank account number with your LLC and your tax ID number. Now I can apply for an IDL here. Now, if you've been commingling with not good checking, I actually told a client yesterday, go open your bank account. You already have a tax ID number. Freaking go open your bank account. You should have done this months ago. Now, you don't want to go apply for a new tax ID number because it's going to show you're just starting your business. You don't want that. So for some of you that never went and got your EIN, you're screwed. You just lost $10,000. So this is a wake-up call. Get your LLC for your rental. I don't care if you're in California and you hate the $800 minimum tax. You need the protection anyway. And an umbrella insurance policy is crap. So get your LLC, get your EIN, and be better in the future. But for those of you that have an EIN long, the answer is you apply under this EIN, you apply under this EIN, and if your social's here and an EIN's here, you're okay. But you can't apply multiple times under the same social security number. It's not going to happen.
Okay. So then, have you heard of any of your clients who applied for this actually received the money?
Okay. Yes and no. You're going to love this. Okay. We haven't even gotten to the PPP yet. We're just doing the IDLE. I've had 2 clients today report to me that they got their email back from the SBA. In fact, I might even be able to read it to you. I don't want their name to show up on the screen. So let me just, actually, believe it or not, I do believe in attorney-client privilege. Let me see if I can get over to their email. I'll just paraphrase. Okay, so basically the email from the SBA said, it said to the client, we received your app. The $10,000 will be coming within 3 days into your bank account, because when you apply for the IDLE, you put in your routing number and bank account number tied to your EIN for the business you applied under. If it's your social, it's your social. They said your money will be coming in 3 days. And if you need Part B, if you need this Part B, we are going to authorize up to $15,000. You just need to fill out the attached application, essentially is what they're saying. If you apply for it, we'll give you $15,000 under 3.75% interest, 30-year term, and you can get up to 15. And they said, that's all we're doing right now, people. We've been overwhelmed. If you need 15 grand, it's going to be a loan. The 10 grand, it's going to be forgiven. It's a grant. Go for it. Have it. That's what we're seeing. Now, I told both of these clients, the minute that 10 grand hits your bank account, I want to see it. They're hoping by the end of this week. That's the idle. And then they're going to apply for the 15 grand. Hey, apply. You don't know if you're going to need it. If you want, when you get the loan docs, don't sign it if you don't want it. But I'm saying apply, apply, apply. You don't know what the future holds. Get your coffers, get your bank account heavy so you can withstand any ups and downs. Get it.
So here's the question I have for you. So on that part B, was it the same amount for both? Did both of those clients receive the 15,000 offer?
Yes.
So they didn't go back into tax returns yet. The government did not go back into their previous tax returns and come up with that number. That's just the blanket number they're putting out there at this point.
Yeah, they're saying we'll give anybody that applies 10 grand grant or up to it. Everybody's getting their 10 grand so far.
Right.
And we're going to throw in another 15. So you can get up to 25 grand pretty quickly, they're saying.
It's great stuff. And that's actually, dude, this is really good information. I mean, this is literally up to the minute information. You guys type your questions for Mark into the screen here in the Club Wealth group at facebook.com/groups/Club Wealth. I'm following it in the feed right now. I just posted in there, post your questions for Mark here. So if you see that in the feed, you know you're in the right place. But
I've got some up-to-date PPP stuff too you're going to love.
Yes.
All right. So before we go there, can I ask a couple more questions on the idle that I have?
Yes, sir.
So it is legit, right? It's okay and it's safe to give out your routing number and your bank number when they ask for it on the application to the SBA site. So that is yes. And I've heard rumor.
Can I just say this long? A lot of agents or sole proprietor clients are saying, I'm not an S Corp, I'm a sole proprietor. Can I still go get the idle? Yes, go get it. You're just going to apply under your social here. If you have an LLC with an EIN here, go. If your mom has a small business with an EIN, go help her fill it out. Get that idle application in there. Now they're going to ask you, and everybody asks, well, Mark, it asks for my gross sales and asks for my cost of goods sold. Just come up with a freaking number. Just what's your average kind of, not your fixed costs, but what are some variable costs you might go through? Some of you agents, you're going to put in your gross sales as your 1099 you got last year, and then throw in like marketing, some office, blah, blah, blah. Put 20% towards cost of goods sold, show that you're making a profit, and done. If it's a rental business, in the application, it says, is this a rental property? What are your gross rents for the year? And then you're going to say, my damage might be 6 months of my mortgage payment. And that's the number you're going to put there. So just throw in numbers. Don't lie. Don't cheat. But just guess. Don't stress.
So what you're saying, what I'm hearing, I've been telling people, the 10,000 almost shoot first and ask questions later. Just get the info in so you get your 10K and figure out the rest later, right?
Yes.
Okay. The other question I have for you on this is there's some rumor that money's out on EIDL. Is that true? What do you hear?
I have not.
Can people jump on right now or they already missed it?
No. Keep applying. This idle, right now, they're saying you can apply up until December 30th. Congress is going to get this money for people. That's what they say. What you don't think your congressional, your congressman, congresswoman, or your senator is going to say no? That's a death knell to get reelected right now. So if they're going to need more money, Congress is going to throw down. On it, I'm just going to say on a political note too. I just think we've got to get this economy kick-started again and going. Some of you are scared to death to get COVID-19. Stay home. Everybody else, as soon as the doors open, get out and do business. I mean, the suicide rate, the heart attacks, the spousal abuse, the domestic violence is all going through the roof. This our country, the damage that's going to be done financially versus how many COVID deaths. I apologize. Maybe you don't agree with my politics on this, but I think the financial devastation is going to far outweigh the COVID deaths, and just the suicide rate tied to unemployment rates is off the chart. Let's get back to work, people. I don't know. That's just I apologize. I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm going to. It's
interesting you mentioned that, though. I will say this. I've had that a similar conversation with several doctors that share a concern about the ancillary impacts that people aren't aware of. Now, that said, I will say this. So many of the people watching right now, you can work from home, right? Our real estate agent clients, there's ways for you to do 99% of what you do from home. We're listing houses from home. We're selling houses from home virtually using virtual tours, using Zoom, all kinds of stuff. We're doing virtual listing appointments.
Oh, Michael froze, so
Okay.
I'll jump in until he's back.
Okay, next question.
Two more questions on the IDL I have that people would ask me to ask. Number one is,
And
how do we know, hey, Michael, you froze for about 10 seconds. Just want to give you a heads up.
So we're just jumping to the next question. Go ahead, Long.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Michael.
You want to finish your thought, Michael?
Ultimately, if you can hear me now, is this better now?
Yes.
Really, all I'm saying is you can be safe and productive at the same time. You do not have to go out and be in person. If you're a real estate agent, you can do the things that you need to do to be productive from home. We're doing a lot of virtual showings, virtual listing appointments. We're literally listing and selling homes without even leaving our homes right now, and it's working well. The people that are doing this, that are choosing to be proactive with this, are making a ton of money right now. We've said before, where there's chaos, there's opportunity. Again, not to be insensitive to the people that are going through health concerns and have loved ones that have been affected by this. We get it, and yes, our hearts go out to those people. That said, to Mark's point, all of us need to get together to do two things. We need to fight the battle with the virus, but we also need to fight economic. We need to do everything we can to be productive right now. Coach Long, you've got more.
I want to encourage you, get to Michael's webinars on how to build your business from home. We'll focus on stimulus here, and I apologize for detracting with a little political statement. So forgive me. Long. Next question.
Okay, no problem. All right, two questions on EIDL I have left on my list. One is, how do we even know if our application has been accepted? We went online and filled it out.
Good comment. I went to SBA. We were actually on the phone at our office with the SBA yesterday, getting some answers to those questions. They have said, if you don't get an email response within 3 days of your application, reapply. Just do the same damn application. I went in and did my IDLs all over again because I wasn't getting an email. And I told my secretary, if you see an email, I want a phone call right away. Tell me what's going on. So, yeah.
Love it.
Okay, and then the other question left on this is, maybe you can touch on it, maybe that's something we can worry about later. What tax consequences, if there's any, from any of this money from EIDL?
There are no tax consequences. This is a loan at worst. At best, it's a grant that's tax-free. So if you don't get the 10 grand forgiven for whatever reason, it's going to be a very, very low interest rate over a very, very long term. Use it wisely. And we're hoping, and again, we're working with our clients to help make sure it's completely forgiven by following the rules. Let's get the money first. And this is, again, another important, please, if you haven't subscribed to my weekly newsletter, get to markjkohler.com. My newsletter went out this morning, and it had 6 articles, 3 one-hour webinars, and a live podcast Q&A, all free, all free. Now, yes, some of you need a consultation. I'll give you our phone number. We're doing a little waiting list. We're getting people in. I told my secretary I'm this close to opening up 4 appointments tomorrow for our waiting list. I'm gonna try. I had 2 of my attorneys say, Mark, I'll work Saturday, and we've discounted our hourly rate. It's still our business. Don't be a hater, but we're going to make sure we get you 10 times whatever you pay us for an hour. So,
Hey,
but
let me do this. Let me do this. Let me give them the website right here. What we're going to do is it's clubwealth.com/CPA. That's going to take you right to Mark Kohler's page. That's going to get you right to his information, and you can ask for contact right there. And we also have, Long, I'm going to jump in with a couple of questions from the Facebook feed right now. They're live questions, people that are watching right now. Actually, a lot of great questions in here. But Daniel Betancourt just reiterates, is it true then? So at this point, the 10,000 is a grant and the 15,000 is a loan at 3.75%. Yes.
Yes, sir. Okay. But you're going to have to apply for the 15 in stage 2. So get your app in, get your email back. They're probably going to pop the 10 grand into your account. That's what they're saying. And that's what we're, this is all theoretical. Don't be a hater, just don't hate the player, just hate the game. But I'm trying. And then number 2, you'll do phase 2 and apply for the 15, which is supposed to be expedited as well. No personal guarantees, crappy credit, bankruptcy, okay.
Did you really just go there? That's hilarious. All right. So,
hey, the 3 days, can I ask a clarification? Somebody asked the 3 days, that 3 business day or just 3 calendar days?
3 business days.
Great question. And so that being said, a couple more questions that we've got in the group here. And by the way, let me, for clarification, let you guys know, Coach Long and I, we are not attorneys. So, and we're not CPAs. We are here. We'll give our own opinions from time to time, but the guy you should trust is the attorney on the call, and that's Mark Kohler. He's an attorney and a CPA. So trust that guy.
Michael and Long are just great guys, and they're smart. You know,
Thank you for
great
that.
guys and they're smart.
So Mr. Wynn asks, he says, he wanted to know, on your 2 clients that just got the email, how long ago did they submit their application?
I think it was today's Wednesday. I think her name's Amber. She came out on our podcast today. I think she applied Friday.
Okay.
So she got an email today.
And just
I
so you guys know,
reapplied
also,
over the weekend.
Tara, on the PPP, my wife, Tara, she just commented in the feed that she submitted ours on Friday and got a response today on the PPP requesting for utility and phone statements. Not a big deal.
Okay. All right, we'll go to PPP in a moment. Yes, but idle, if you don't hear, I'm just going to say it again, if you have not heard anything from the idle, apply after 4 days, apply again. Just throw it in there. The computer system will say, hey, this person's begging, you know, squeaky wheel gets the grease maybe, just get it in there. And for those of you, I'm going to repeat this. If you have multiple LLCs with multiple rental properties and EINs for each one of these LLCs, that's an application. You have an operational entity application. Now, I will say this, and this is me and Michael, without disclosing too much. I have 1 S Corp in my life. I will teach this again and again at our future conferences at Club Wealth. I have 1 S Corp, but my S Corp may own part of an LLC over here. It may own part of an LLC over here. If these are partially owned, like say Michael and I go in together with Long on an investment, boom, boom. Now it's an operational business. My S Corp, Michael's S Corp, Long's S Corp. In fact, let me make sure this is clear. This is my S Corp. This is Michael's S Corp. This is Long's S Corp. Size matters. Now, okay, in this structure, that was funny. I'm trying to be funny. You guys,
it's been one of those days. The last webinar we were on was like that too.
Okay, awesome. All right. Now, this LLC, I'm going to apply for an idle up here and a PPP if we have payroll out of here. I'm applying for the PPP here because this is where I take my payroll, but we might have employees up here with payroll. So to be blunt, this was the law firm. This was my S Corp. This may be your brokerage. This could be your S Corp. So those are okay with 2 PPPs and 2 idles. But here, if you have 100% owned LLC, and I know I have these, Michael has these, I am not going to do an idle and I am not going to do a PPP because it's 100% owned subsidiary. But if I have a rental over here and I rent to my company, I'm going to do an idle over here. See the difference? So people think outside of the box. This is where a consult, and you can apply to this second idle. We can apply for this next week, next month. It's good through the end of the year on the idle.
All right.
On that, can I follow up?
Actually, hold on 1 second, Long, before you do. Dawn Fink just mentioned in the comments that she reached out to Mark's office and had a conversation, a consult with one of his attorneys yesterday, and it went great. She said the attorney was phenomenal and helped her out. So you guys, like, seriously, get the consult with Mark. It's, you know, you can't go wrong. Coach Long, go ahead with your question.
Thanks for saying that, Michael.
Yeah.
So I've been paying attention and took a lot of notes last time, Mark, when we had over 2 hours. If I remember correctly, the entity has to be in business at least by January 31st of 2000. Is that correct, 20?
Yes. Now the application for the PPP and the idle, and forgive me, I don't have both apps in front of me, but I think one says by February 15th, the other one says by January 31st. When you're in the detail, you'll see it. Now, let's go there. Okay, let's go there for a minute. Let's say some of you are a brand new agent this year. Okay, now this is where things start to get tricky. Let's say you're a brand new agent this year. You had no operational income last year. You're not going to do the PPP. It's not going to happen. But can you do the idle? Absolutely. And let's say you just had a few sales in January or February. Michael was saying March was one of their best closing months. Business is still happening, people. Get on those coaching calls with Michael and his team to learn the techniques to adapt to this market. There's always money being made in the market. Are you going to sit on the sidelines or get engaged? So get engaged, do the idle. Now, if you were an agent last year, okay, now this is tricky. If you were an agent in 2019 and you had an LLC, sole prop, which means you're working on your social security number last year. And then January, and this is very common. So you came to the conference in November. You're like, Mark, I need an S Corp. Sign me up. We get you consult, we get you going. You started your new S Corp 2020. Now that's great. That's great. But your PPP application is going to be based on your social, and for 2019, based on your net as a sole prop, because it's a 12-month look back. Now that you're an S Corp in 2020, you'd apply for the idle under this EIN. See the difference? So for some of you that had 19 operations as a sole prop, S Corp in new year, idle, PPP. Because this business does not exist anymore, technically, because you've converted. But you can apply for the PPP and then get forgiveness paying for the expenses here. Now, bankers are getting that. But if you walk into your banker and go, I need a PPP and I'm a new S Corp, they're going to go, get away. You're going to confuse them. And this is where you may get bad information from your banker and you're going to go, Mark Kohler's wrong. Don't trust the 21-year-old banker that just went to a conference online. You're going to trust me and say, go to a different banker and say it a different way. It's okay to walk into a different bank on day 2. You're not going to miss out. Take control of your ship. You're the captain.
Okay, so Mike Penny asks, my wife and I are both sole props under our social security numbers and don't pay quarterly taxes. And we have not done our 2019 taxes.
Okay, now this is one of our categories.
Hang on, let me give you the rest of his question, then you go for it.
Okay.
He says, when EIDL or PPP is asking for 12 months of payroll, are we allowed to use the gross? If not, what should we do?
Okay, now this is the money call, people. And I just got a ting of emotion. I am so grateful you're here. For those that are watching this on the recording, it's okay. Again, I'm not going anywhere. My heart has been breaking. Gosh, I can't believe how emotional I'm getting. My heart's been breaking for a lot of business owners out there that are scared to death and they're stressed. And we're going to hold this webinar today as long as we need to. Because I want you to get some answers and then get you some support and point in the right direction. So allow me to do this. There are 3 type of S Corp situations. And I'm coming to you sole props. Hang tight. There's the person out there, there's solo employee owner, and you did your W-2 last year. And I know there's many, many successful agent brokers, both and or separate, that Michael's and Long have been coaching for years. This is typically going to be your more veteran, kind of more mature agent. Number 2, we're going to have S Corps out there that are solo owners and they're married and they put their spouse maybe on payroll and maybe the kids. Now that's a strategy you're going to learn at conferences with me. We're helping you, we're doing it, and we'll bring your personal CPA along. You don't have to use our CPA firm to succeed at this. This is going to be kind of your veteran family agent or broker. Okay, you single people, I got you. We're going to be okay. Now, then we've got those of you that are S Corp owners, but you're disorganized. And you didn't do your payroll last year. Your accountant tries to shoehorn you into some strategy at the in the middle of the spring or summer. You're jacked up and you did no W-2, but you were an S Corp last year. Okay, we're going to come back to each category. Now, we've got you maybe veteran agents, but through planning to the side, or you're a brand new agent and you're a sole prop. No entity, you're just out there. And that's okay. I'm not saying that's bad. but we want to help you be more successful. A good framework and foundation for your business is going to make you more successful in years to come. This has again been a wake-up call. Then we have those sole props that are a single member LLC. You had an LLC, and that's great, but LLCs don't save taxes. They're great for professionalism, protection, and if you were a single member, 100% LLC, you're still a sole prop. Over here, you might be an LLC taxed as an S Corp or an Inc. It's the same thing. So if you go, well, I was an LLC taxed as an S Corp, but I never did a W-2. We're going to talk about it. Maybe, so these are our 5 categories. Now what I think Michael and Long just asked, and we could, and I'll go any category you want, but if it's okay, guys, you're a brand new agent or a veteran agent, sole prop, no entity. What's the calculation? It is going to be your Schedule C for 2019. Not the 1099 that the broker gave you, not the draws you took. You're going to walk into your bank and go, I need a PPP. I was an Uber driver. I was an agent last year, and I'm not making as much money, and I don't know what to do. How do I get the PPP? They are going, now this is the big wake-up call for today's webinar, and why I was telling Michael, we got to talk again. He's like, we need you again. We're here because when you go to the bank next week, because the bankers are not taking your application right now. They're taking all the S Corp apps. Next week, they're supposed to take all the sole prop apps. That's what we're hearing. This application is going to look a little different. So what you do is you got to file your Schedule C for 2019. Whatever your broker 1099 is, minus all your expenses, whatever that net is for last year, we divide it by 12 and multiply it by 2.5. That's your PPP. That's it. Well. In concept, you're also going to add to the net your health insurance premiums. And we've been talking to the SBA, and we believe they're going to let you add your self-employment tax back in. That's what we're hoping. So this will be, we're not going to reduce that amount by self-employment tax. We're going to add it back in. So it's your net income as a sole prop plus your health insurance premiums. Then you divide it by 12, then you multiply it by 2.5. And if
you don't have a 941, you use that one.
That's right. And if you go, well, I pay myself, I take a salary. You can't. You cannot take a salary in an LLC or a sole prop. Now, you may have other employees. If you do, we add that to the net because that's a W-2 to some other employee in your company. And I know someone's watching that did this. They're like, Mark, I had a W-2, but I was still a Schedule C. So we're going to take your net plus any other payroll to a third party. And that could have been your kids too, if you gave them a W-2. I don't know if you did, but that is going to add to your denominator that we divide by 12.
Okay, this is great, dude. Seriously, you guys, I hope you're paying close attention. Coach Long, you've got the next question?
Oh, Long, while you're looking.
Nope, now we can go to PPP if we're done, because
I think we've
no
got
more EIDL.
Hold on, before we go to PPP, let me grab a couple of questions out of my feed here. Okay. Looks like we got a lot of people putting questions in here. So the question, okay, so Paul asked, I think you've already answered this, but just to recap, I'm an employee under my S Corp. Can I apply for EIDL and UI?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Good. And let's go to, let me make sure we're getting all of these.
Now let me throw this out while you're looking. Everybody, if you have an S Corp, I'm not done with the PPP. I'm going to come back to you. But a lot of agents are saying, oh, I'll just take my 1099 into the bank. Now, that's another point. The idle loans, we said you go to SBA.gov. With PPP, you have to go to a bank. Now, that's a whole other conversation. Which bank? Do I do it online? Do I go to a local bank? Do I have to have the same bank I go to? We can talk about that, but you go to a bank and you're going to fill out an application. And based on if you're a S Corp, I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But if you're a sole prop or 100% owned LLC, we call them an SM LLC, single member LLC, you're going to, and this is what we're seeing, you're going to have to file your Schedule C for 2019. So what that means, people, this week, call your accountant and say, please get my 1040 done with my Schedule C, because I know my banker's going to need it next week. And you don't want to go to your banker next week and lose 5 days here. If that means going to Liberty Tax, H&R Block, TurboTax, whatever, get this Schedule C done. And Michael, can I say one more thing?
Please.
This is the tug of war. Okay, Mark Kohler, okay, this is so hard. Mark Kohler in November would tell you when you go to your Schedule C, you take your 1099 and you write off every expense we can think of. And this is the classes I'm teaching: cell phone, home office, laptop, dining, the computers, the auto, the kids, because I want that net to be as low as possible. And if you need to go get a home loan, we go to a mortgage broker that understands sole props, not Fannie Mae 19-year-old down at Wells Fargo. We're going to use more sophisticated lenders so we can add back a lot of that. So a lot of people, I'm trying to get this net as low as possible because we don't want to pay this 15.3% self-employment tax. Now you're going to have a tug of war this weekend because you're going to be out there doing your Schedule C and you're going to go, oh, if I write off too much, my net goes down, my PPP goes down. Oh, well, if I don't write off enough, if I don't write off as much, then my PPP goes up, but I pay more FICA and more income tax. So what we're going to see is there's going to be a sweet spot. You're going to say, all right, here's my 1099 from my broker, and I'm going to write off as much as I can, but then you're going to want to have on another sheet of paper whatever that net is times 12 or divided by 12 times 2.5. That's going to be a tax-free grant because all you have to do is pay yourself and it's forgiven. But to get there, you're going to have to pay some freaking FICA in income tax. Now, if you're in Washington State like Michael, he has no state tax. So he's going to be like, okay, here's my damage here compared to my benefit here, and you're going to want to weigh the two.
Okay, here's another good question. So Wayne Walsh, who apparently you freaking rock. Wayne Walsh says, thanks to Mark Kohler, he now is an LLC taxed as an S Corp. And he says, you know, Wayne, that's good. And so Wayne wants to know, does it matter if I pay myself monthly or bi-weekly or not? And
moving forward.
What's that? Well, he wants, yeah. Does it matter monthly, bi-weekly, or quarterly, and why? If you can.
Wayne, you're awesome. Now this will open the door to the S Corps. Everybody out there for 2020. Now this is deep. When I had a phone call with Michael, I gave him some advice that I'm going to give you right now. Okay, you ready? I'm just having so much fun, everybody. I hope this is okay. This is putting money in your pocket. Some of you are like, I got to go out there and get a closing. Guys, saving money is as important as making money. And it's the yin and the yang. And you
if you ask Benjamin Franklin, he says it's even better. A penny saved is a penny earned, right?
That's right. Okay, now here's the deal. And Wayne, we're going to build into your situation. So let's say we got 2019, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Okay, so those are my four. Oh, man, that looked bad. Okay. I got to do this better. As a realtor and as you grow in your success, you're going to need to know this. So don't just discount it and go, oh, I don't need to know this. No, you do, because your accountant will screw it up if you don't know. There's 4 quarters to a year. Here's 2019. Here's 2020. Now, when you go to the PPP, Wayne, they're going to ask you, any of you that are an S Corp, they're going to say, what was your 940 or your total payroll for 2019? You're going to literally just print it out. It's one sheet of paper. It was great. When I met with Michael and Tara, I just said, where's your 940? She goes, it's here. That's all you need. That's all you need. And you go in, you divide it by 12, multiply it by 2.5. But again, you're going to add health insurance and a few things to it. But generally, that's it. Now, this quarter, now that's Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Q1, first quarter, because we're sitting right here, people. We're right here in April. Q1 doesn't matter. So when I met with Michael and Tara, and when I called my own little personal office person that takes care of my stuff at Kohler, I called her and said, cut my payroll in half. Pay myself less because I don't want to pay FICA for it in second quarter. I want to see how the year goes, and I'll pick up more payroll later in the year, and I can pay less now. So everybody out there, make sure your accountant is looking at your 2019 W-2, and then for quarter one, take a little, because you have to show you're still employed and still in business. Then when you get your PPP, you have 8 weeks to burn it. Michael, here's what's cool. You're going to love this. You can pay yourself long, you're going to love it too. Okay. 8 weeks to burn it. You can burn it on payroll to yourself. And guess what it includes? 401k contributions. The PPP is forgiven by putting money in your retirement account. Are you kidding me? Okay. So for those advanced agents that were taking our advice the last 2 years, getting your shiz together with your S-Corp, you're sitting pretty. This is like a match made in heaven. Kohler aligned with Congress. I mean, this is what I've been teaching like a prophet on the mountain. Okay, so now we're rocking it. So Wayne, you just have to do a quarter. This is back to Wayne's answer. We're just going to do quarterly reports. You don't need to take a paycheck.
Right.
Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. You're just going to take draws. And everybody out there, this is what I've been teaching. Sorry, just back it up. You're going to take a W-2 on paper, doing a report quarterly. Everything else is a draw. You just take a draw anytime you want. Then we call you up every quarter. We knock out your W-2. You're done. All right. Sorry, guys. Questions?
And but Long, you've got the next question. Before you bring up the next question, though, I want you guys to think about this. If this all sounds complicated to you, right? And I know some of you are like, oh my gosh, my mind is blown. Like, I don't even know where to start. Let me tell you where to start. Go to clubwealth.com/CPA. That's going to put you in touch with Mark's people. Get a consult with Mark's people. Just write them the freaking check. It's worth it. That's what I did. I think I've got a pretty good above average grasp on this thing. I feel like Tara does too. Guess what? I still hired Mark. And by the way, so did Long, right? Like you guys, we understand this stuff and we're still paying his firm to do this because they'll do it better than we will. And so make sure that you're getting the help that you need because then you'll get the money that you deserve. Go ahead, Long.
Yep. So it looks like we transitioned to PPP already. Let me ask you a question. What if your bank is not very responsive or not even calling you back or just kind of went dark on you? Because you have to kind of go to a bank to apply for PPP, correct, Mark?
Yes. Okay. Now, everybody, this is a little update. You're going to love this. When I applied for my PPP, I asked my banker, hey, can I get your cell phone just so I can text you if there's something urgent? He's like, sure. Mistake on his part. Okay. So then, okay. Now let me throw this out. Okay. Let's just talk banking. And then I'm going to give you an update on your PPP. I got an email today from the SBA myself. All right. So first, we're Wells Fargo. That's where that's where I do most of my banking. Now, make a long story short, we already knew Wells Fargo was going to be hammered. They have a 10 billion cap. They're done. They already put out a press release last week that we've already helped all the clients we're going to help go somewhere else. They have some capital restrictions due to the slap on the wrist from 2007 and 8. So US Bank, Chase, they're all running to grab all the Wells Fargo clients right now. Okay. We knew the big banks were going to be slammed. We went to a local bank. You could go to a credit union. You just have to go to a bank that has an SBA lender. You don't have to go to your bank. Now,
I got
Michael,
one.
you want to say something? Go ahead.
I do. So we had the same issue. So we went to the bank that holds the loan on our building, right? And they actually referred us to Kabbage, KABBAGE.com. And that's who we applied through, and it worked. And it was an easy online application. They took care of it. Like, these guys are super aggressive with this process. They get it. If you don't have anybody to turn to in terms of where to apply for the PPP, Kabbage is great.
Okay. Now, on that note.
Yep,
Oh, go ahead, Long.
Did you do Kabbage too?
I concur that as well. Mike Bernier and I both bank at Wells Fargo.
Yep.
Sorry, didn't hear back. We went to a community local bank and they helped us out. So we're going to be talking to them about our new banking relationships.
Yeah, and that's what they want. So that's what these local banks are doing. They're like, hey, we can bring on some new clients that never thought of us before. Now, with that said, be careful of scam artists too. I freaking laid into a scam email, and maybe I shouldn't have, but I was pissed. I've been worn out. I've been working 80-hour weeks, and someone was trying to sell the PPP apps. And they're like, we'll facilitate it for you. I did my little research just real quick on Google. They're not even a bank. There's someone saying, I'll do it for you for a fee and all this bullshit. Be careful. Make sure you do a little background before you start submitting financials, and make sure that you're dealing with the real bank loan officer that's SBA approved. Just do a little homework. Be cautious.
On that same note, I heard, and I think it's true, just the percentage, but the people are like, well, why would the bank help me? You know, this is all free money. I believe they're getting paid from the government, right? Anywhere from 3 to 5 points, I want to say, per loan. So they are very motivated.
Yeah.
They're making bank on this thing.
Yeah. Now, here's the hard thing, though. These bankers make 5 points. If you're a realtor, agent, broker, and you're doing payroll of around 40 grand a year, which I'm going to push a lot of my broker and agents to be around a 40 to 80 grand salary. Now, I'm saving you tax, people. You might be pissed at me going, well, I didn't get as big a PPP. But you know what? The tax savings can outweigh the PPP real quick. So be patient. There's a sweet spot. So anyway, if you're doing 40 grand, so 40,000 divided by 12. Okay, that's 3,333. Okay, so 3,033 times 2.5. Let's just say you're going to be around an $8,000 PPP. Well, that's free money. It's free. That's cool. Now, so you're going to put in your application for your loan and this PPP. You're going to go to any bank you can get to, and you're going to pull out your W-2, give them the 940, and run with it. Now, you have to remember, the bank on a loan like that only makes 5 points. I mean, that's like $100. But when you go to apply for forgiveness, you have to go through the same bank. So you might not get as much TLC if you're not some big fat payroll. So be patient. Don't be jerky. Just stay dedicated. Okay, now on this note, okay, I put in my PPP application last Friday. I did 2 of them. I don't mind sharing. This is part of the structure that we do. So I took my S Corp, where I do my personal payroll, and then we have a law firm and an accounting firm. I have some other structures, but everybody, it's open book. I have a law firm and accounting firm. I have employees there. There's no, I don't need to hide that. We did a PPP here for our employees here. And then we did a PPP over here for our employees in the accounting firm. So I had 3 PPPs going. Last night, and I won't get even more specific. I want to be careful not sharing too much. My partners will be mad. On one of these, yesterday, the bank called, said, we got approval for the SBA. Your loan docs are here. Come down and sign them.
Wow.
We could have funding by the end of the week.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's fast.
So now our banker.
So today's Wednesday, so that's 3 business days.
Nuts, right?
Yeah.
Now, what was funny, now this is important, people. Gosh, I'm so grateful you're here. I want to get up to the camera and say this. My partner in one of these structures called me at 2 o'clock today. And I said, you got the loan docs? When did they say they could fund? And it wasn't that we desperately needed the money. We're building a cushion because we don't know what the future holds. But I was like, when are they going to fund? He goes, they said maybe 2 to 3 days. And I go, where do I sign? Because all the partners of the entity had to sign. He goes, the math's off. It's wrong. I'm having them reprint it. Now, you don't see, this is why you're here in this webinar. You've got to know a little of this math and how you're applying, because the bank, they're swamped. They're overwhelmed. So you have to double check everything. So we told the banker, reprint, resubmit if needs be. Now, my other 2 PPPs, he said tomorrow we should have loan docs.
That's amazing.
So I'm really excited about that.
Really quick on that cap at Wells Fargo, Coach Christy Horn, who's also a CPA, mentions that she thinks that the cap was lifted on Wells Fargo as of today,
Okay.
which that's definitely up to the minute news. That's very interesting. Virginia Corbett asks, how about your SEP IRA contributions?
Oh, that would qualify as forgiveness. Okay, now okay, so here's the real math. Now everybody pull out a piece of paper, because I'm going to do 2 maths. It's really easy. Any of you that are an S Corp with a W-2, or you're a sole prop, or LLC sole prop, okay? I'm doing this different ways, because some ways it clicks for someone a different way. Others, you're like, Mark, why didn't you say this from the beginning? Just be patient. I'm trying different ways. If you're an S Corp, you're going to take your 940 total W-2 for last year, 2019. You're going to add to it any 401k or SEP contributions. I'm going to put retirement contributions, or just put retirement, plus any SUTA, which is state unemployment, plus any health insurance premiums. That's really it. Now, here's what's interesting, guys. Michael Long, I had a client this morning said, I haven't filed my 2019 yet, and I'm waiting to submit my PPP. He goes, I put in my 401k deferral, but I haven't done my match yet. And I said, are you going to do it? He goes, yeah. Put in the match right now, because that qualifies for your 2019. File your return, because it goes, it's pretty much ready to go. So we were able to back, this doesn't mean what the retirement you put in before December 31st, it's what is on your tax return. So if you've got a little cushion right now, you could pull money out of regular savings, put it in your 401k, and increase your PPP. Anyway, you take this total and divide it by 12 times 2.5, there's your PPP. Now, any expenses you pay in the first 8 weeks that include payroll or retirement contributions for 2020, health insurance, you may even give yourself a raise, because you're going to wipe out that money in freaking 8 weeks, or you're a dumbass. Sorry, or you're stupid. So then you're going to wipe that out, and then you're forgiven. Now, for everybody else, there's probably the other half of the group out there. You're going to file your Schedule C 1040 as soon as you can. And then you're going to add to it your SEP contribution, or solo 401k, because you can have a solo 401k and a sole prop, not very common, but some of you might, plus my health insurance premiums. And now, this app does not exist yet. This app is supposed to be out by the SBA this weekend. And the FICA is going to be the big question mark. Then you total that up, whatever that number is, divide it by 12, multiply it by 2.5, there's your PPP. You're going to do the same thing. You got your 8 weeks, you're done. Now, that math right there, take a screenshot, any of you. This is what you want to double check when the banker gives you the paperwork, because you're going to fill this out maybe online or whatever. And then you're going to say, I better double check this, because bankers can make mistakes too. And you want to double check this. My partner, Matt Sorensen, has an article on how to fill out the application. It's right on our website. It's in the newsletter. And if you haven't gotten our newsletter, go to the Club Wealth /CPA, and you can apply for the newsletter. If you didn't get the newsletter this morning, it went out, email me, Mark at Mark J. Kohler, and say, hey, Mark, please forward me the newsletter. And my assistant, Maria, will just forward you this morning's newsletter. There's like 5 hours of content on there for free. Now, then you're going to apply your 8 strategies in a consult with your professional or one of mine, and make sure over the next few months, you got it dialed in.
Sorry, Mark, can you give us your website again?
Oh, it's Club Wealth. Michael, you do it. You tell everybody.
Clubwealth.com / or / whatever, CPA, and that'll get you right to Mark. Clubwealth.com / CPA. We wanted to keep it super simple.
Yep.
So there you go. Just go there. That'll get you right to Mark's website. You'll get all his contact info, and you can schedule a consult. If you are a Wealth coaching client or a Club Wealth coach, and you want to consult with Mark and his team, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I will introduce you personally to Mark and to his team to make sure that you guys get in, ahead of line, if you will. So
yeah, and I want to be totally transparent. Michael gets no money, and Long gets, none of the coaches get a kickback from our firms or me in any way, shape, or form. But I'll be honest, and please, people, be patient. We're not perfect. We're swamped. We're doing the best we can. But the reason why you kind of want to go through Club Wealth is, I won't lie to you, once in a while, there's a bump in the road, and I hate it. I get a freaking text from Michael going, hey, so-and-so needs a little TLC, Mark. And you know what I do? No matter what time of day or weekend, I reach out to you. I know that sounds crazy. We're about a 60-person firm, but there's that few complaints where I can personally resolve it. We're trying to do it. So go through Club Wealth.
You've done a great job of that. In fact, one of our coaches is watching right now, and she had an experience here recently where, she got caught up in this whole, you guys are crazy and there's a lot going on, and she had a challenge, and she reached out to me. I connected her with you. You took care of it right away. She was happy. Super, super awesome. Guys, to everybody's point here, every business is going to have periods of time where they have an upswell of business coming in, and things get a little crazy, and sometimes the ball is going to get dropped. Here's the key. The key is not, does a business never drop the ball? The key is, do they stand behind it? Do they fix the problem? Do they pick up the ball, make things right, and go the extra mile to take care of you? That's what you're looking for. And I can tell you this, Mark's always done that for me and everybody that I've encountered that we've worked with together.
Thanks, Michael. And Michael gives me a tongue lash.
Okay, so
Michael says, Mark, what the hell's the problem? Fire this person. There's been one person fired because Michael wasn't happy. I gave him Michael's personal address.
Wow, thanks. Appreciate it. That explains the dude that's been in my backyard all week. Okay, thanks for that. That's great.
Okay.
Go ahead, Coach Law. You got more questions.
So I know that we're right over an hour. This is obviously fascinating, but I want to keep moving. So how about stimulus checks? Has anyone you know of had received a stimulus check yet?
No, they start on April 9th, tomorrow. Now let's go there for a minute. There's been some updates here. Okay, and then I'm going to give you the 8 strategies that you want to be thinking about. And even if you don't implement them all tomorrow, that's why you're consulting with your professionals or us or whoever, just to get a little TLC on your personal situation. The number 1 on that list is the stimulus check. So let's go through our list real quick. Now here's a few thoughts. Now this is something Michael may want to share a little personal thought on this too with his family. I'll be honest with mine. I've got 3 kids over age 18 or older. Okay, so single or married, you get $500 for each kid that's 17 or younger in your household as a dependent. If you make more than 100 grand single or make more than 200 grand married, you're not going to get any stimulus. Sorry. Apparently you're rich and not affected by this. Okay, now, if you have kids 18 or older, even if they're in college and you're helping them out, you have to decide, should I claim them as a dependent on my tax return? Now, everybody's a little different, and this is where the consult comes in, because sometimes you want to claim your kid because it helps your taxes, and you might be getting the American Opportunity Tax Credit for paying for some of their tuition. I don't know. So be careful. But one of my kids, I said, you're filing your tax return because I want you to get the stimulus package of $1,200. And for a college student, $1,200 could be half of housing for a few months, or who knows what, I don't know. So make sure that you're looking at the stimulus checks as a whole. Mom and dads that are on Social Security do not need to file. This was a notice in the last few days. If you get Social Security money, you're automatically included in the stimulus, period. If you get your Social Security via direct deposit, the stimulus check starting tomorrow, April 9th, direct deposits are the first wave, and they're supposed to start hitting people's bank accounts. Michael, and Long, one more, just 30 more seconds. Some people say, well, Mark, the IRS doesn't have my banking information. I've researched this and been in touch with the IRS. You cannot update your banking information with the IRS. You will be getting a paper check if you have typically gotten your refunds or paid your taxes via paper. But if you haven't filed your 19 return, now let's go back. Let's say some of you are sole props and you're going to file your Schedule C so you're ready for the PPP. When you do, put your banking information on the 1040, and your stimulus check might show up in your bank account faster than a paper check. I'm also making sure that all my kids are filing electronically with their banking information with the IRS so they can get their stimulus check faster. We know the money is not going to run out, but I don't want to wait for Congress to pass another bill to get it. Get in line as fast as you can. Not because the money's going to run out. It's just it could take a lot longer to get it. That's my stimulus.
I believe that on the IRS site, you can go and update your banking information too.
I tried that. I found you couldn't. Are you sure?
That's what I heard, so I was just asking you.
Okay, I have tried to do that, and I failed. And if you put banking information IRS.gov, you go to IRS.gov, and if you can, people try it. I just have determined that I thought you couldn't, and that's what my research, and I personally researched that and discovered, but I could be wrong. So try it if you can.
Cool.
Okay, number two. Oh, you go ahead.
No. So number one is the stimulus checks. Number two.
Okay, number two is unemployment. Now this is tricky. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far. The last webinar we did is still up for viewing, right, Michael? People
yes, it is. It's at the top of the group. So if you go to clubwealth.com facebook.com/groups/Club Wealth, at the very top of the group. So you have to join the group, right? It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. But when you're in the group, at the top of the group is the post for our 2-hour full explanation of this. Yep.
The only update I'm going to give here is a lot of people, two things. One is a lot of people are like, I'm going to go apply for unemployment. I'm going to hang up my hat. And I'm not going to do any business. I'm just going to sit in my house and hunker down. Any job at all will kick you out of unemployment. So you can't just say, oh, I'm going to quit being an agent and get unemployment and go do work over here. Doesn't count. You have to be unemployed to get unemployment, right? Just pretty straightforward. But be careful thinking you automatically apply. Go to the state website of wherever you live, look at your base period, look at if you paid yourself and how you apply. You have to get accepted for state unemployment before you get the $600 a week federal kicker. Now it's pretty kick-ass, but where I'm using this is I'm having a lot of people fire their spouse. Tara called me up and said, it's time Michael's fired. I said, all right, fire him. So Michael is going to be claiming unemployment. No. But anyway, in a marriage scenario, it is a strategy we're trying to do in certain situations is firing the spouse and claiming unemployment if they qualify. The number 2 point is, I forgot. Never mind. Okay, number 3.
Wait, on that one.
Yeah.
I know every state's different, so state specific. My state in Minnesota just today opened up a federal can be added. Is it automatically being added to 600 if you qualify for state, or do you have to go apply for the additional federal amount?
Great question, and I've got a comment on that too. First, you do not apply for federal unemployment. If you get state unemployment, the federal kicks in. It goes through the end of June up to 12 weeks of an extra $600 a week, $7,200. So the sooner you get unemployment, now What do we think government's going to do right now? They're going to extend it. Get in line, get in there. By the time these people get unemployment, they're going to freaking be a month into the process. I think they're going to extend it. Just my personal opinion. Number two, here's a question I'm getting long. Some people say, I'm already on unemployment, or my spouse is, or my mom or dad. Do I automatically get the 600? Yes. So if you were on unemployment before COVID-19, you get the $600 a week, and it's supposed to just add it into it. Go to your state website for that. Okay.
I got to jump on this. Allison Silverman, who's a coaching client of ours, and Long and I both know her very well, asked a really good question. What about underemployment, right? I mean, so here you've got all these people that are underemployed right now. Their income has substantially decreased. What about them? Are they just basically like, SOL, sorry, ain't gonna happen?
Being underemployed was a crisis in America for millions of Americans before COVID-19 even hit. Mm-hmm. And this is where people weigh, by the time I get a job and pay for daycare, I might as well just get welfare or unemployment or stay at home or something, right? It's tough. So I think for those of you that are underemployed, you've got to make that, there's a fork in the road. Either you got to be completely unemployed and go grab the benefits for a few months. And the math isn't too bad. This is where Lindsey Graham was on the Senate floor going berserk, saying people are making more money on unemployment before they were even employed, you know, or when they were employed. So you got to do the math. But if you're underemployed, I'm going to say this. This is where Michael and Long and all those coaches kick butt. People, you feel better about yourself. You know, unemployment sounds pretty sexy until you're sitting there on your third binge series on Netflix and you're like, I feel like a loser. This is why suicide rates go up. Abuse goes up in the home. Get on the calls with Michael and Long. These guys, and they're all their coaches. Coach Christie, I've met so many of them at the conference. They're awesome. Try. You're going to feel better about yourself. Be overemployed, not underemployed. Being busy is a cure for a lot of self-pity.
I love where you're going with that. Here's the deal, you guys. If you know all the characters in Tiger King's names by heart, like, you've got a problem, right? It's time to like move on and get to work. And here's the reality. The reality is, if you're in real estate today, and I know a lot of people are watching this that aren't just in real estate. There's a lot of people from a lot of different industries that are watching. But for those of you that are in real estate right now, I'm here to tell you, and Long, you can vouch for this as well. We've seen this. Long and I were just talking, like in Minnesota, for example, at the time we recorded this, the market in Minnesota is down about 5%. But the people in Long's office, the agents in his office, as a group, their production is up 14%. You guys, we're seeing this all across Club Wealth right now. There's two types of people out there right now. And look, again, we don't want to take away from any of the hardships that people might be facing with this, particularly health hardships and those types of things. We're not unsympathetic to that. But what I do want you to understand is there's two camps right now. There's the, I'm going to run and hide and I'm going to seek help and I'm not going to fend for myself. And there's the, I'm a freaking warrior. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to do everything I can, even if it has to be from the security of my home. I'm going to do everything I can virtually to serve my clients and to bring in income. And let me tell you, to Mark's point, you're going to feel better about yourself when you do that. You're going to take control of your life and you're going to go out and you're going to be successful when others won't. And I'm telling you, in 6 months, you're going to be glad you dug in. You're going to be glad you got serious about crushing it in your business, because in 6 months, the people that did are not only going to be ahead, they're going to be light years ahead of the people that ran the other direction.
And can I add one thing to that? And people, thank you for staying in this webinar. I know some of you think, get past the fluffy crap, let's get to the tech. And I know you engineers out there feel that way. We're going to stay here till the questions are answered. I don't mind. I feel like this is my life's calling to help in situations like this. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to have this, to be here with you. But let me say this too. One example, and some of you are going, Mike, you're full of crap, you're a blowhard. But let me say this. I went yesterday, my wife was home and I said, you want me to pick up some soup and sandwich? And she's like, yeah. I went to one soup place, closed, out of business. Went to the other one. Now this is the interesting example I want to give. Went to the first soup place, closed. Went to the second one, walked in, and I was like, what the hell's going on? There's crates everywhere and pallets. And I walk up and I go, where's your soup? And they're like, no soup. we're going into bulk sales until the crisis is over. I said, what? And the owner was right there. And he said, we kind of know each other a little bit, not best buds or anything, but he goes, Mark, I called up Cisco. I said, I want a pallet of rice. I want a pallet of mashed potatoes. I want a pallet of this, a pallet of that, put prices on them, send out an email to every one of his clients and said, if you need food storage or bulk sales, come in. That's all we're doing. I've only marked it up 10% on top of Cisco. There was lines. And I thought, gosh darn it, good job. Because he thought outside of the box. And he says, Mark, when this is over, we'll be back to soup and sandwiches. Now that's what realtors and agents that are on the ball are doing. They're going, I'm reaching out to marketing in a different way. I'm approaching clients in a way I never would have done before. And that's where Michael and Long and their coaches are teaching strategies that when this is over, you may not do them again, but that's okay. You adjusted and modified your plan according to circumstances.
Aside from the obvious, shift as the market shifts, and adjust and adapt and overcome and improvise as the market gives you those opportunities, finding opportunities in the chaos becomes key. The other piece that I got out of what you just said is you walked into the soup store and the soup Nazi said, no soup for you today, because the soup Nazi reinvented himself. I love it.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so I got one question on unemployment. I want to set the stage real quick. So actually, I got the privilege of speaking on main stage at Club Wealth event, and this is where I had talked about this. So real estate professionals are one of those really unique professions, right? First of all, the housing sector accounts for about 15% of the GDP. So, I mean, we're going to be leading the economy coming back, but real estate agents like myself has a really tough job. We actually go interview all the time to get a buyer or seller to work with us. And once they agree to work with us, they hire us. We work as fast as we can to get to work ourselves out of a job. We want to close that deal, right? So as we're doing some of this work, we might get paid for 3 to 6 months. Should we be applying for unemployment, and how does that work if we're not getting a closing for the next 2 to 3 months? What would you say to that?
Great question. Everybody's a little different, because the minute you get your first commission, you're out of unemployment. The second thing is, some states, if you're on disability, whole other topic we're not touching right now. If you or your spouse is on disability, or you have an S corporation, some states say by definition, if you have an S corp or the owner of an S corp, you're not allowed unemployment, because they know you're going to backdoor draws to yourself. They just know that game. And some states, not all of them, are very leery of giving an S corp owner unemployment. In fact, some of the questions in those states are, do you own an S corp? So you have to be careful. I've had clients move the ownership of the S corp to their spouse so they can apply for unemployment. So you have to be cautious in there. And if you feel like for 3 months you're not going to have a closing, I'm okay with that. I think ethically you have to ask yourself too, I'm working. I'm out there beating the pavement. I'm really not unemployed, but I'm collecting an unemployment check. And so everybody's situation's different, and I just want to be careful saying do it without knowing all the details. So be cautious. But now for fun, I want to tell you one way Mark Kohler's master plan, and I want to be humble about it, plays into this so cool. Because, and I know Tara works sometimes harder than Michael, so I apologize. I'm going to pick on Michael and Tara for a minute. Let's say they have their S corp and they're doing their thing, and Michael's on payroll. Let's just say, and it's not to be male chauvinistic, I know many out there have stay-at-home dads versus stay-at-home moms. So, but I'm just going to go with what may be the majority of the time of situation. So we got Michael getting a paycheck here, W-2. What I said at the conference at Club Wealth, just short 4 months ago, which seems like a world ago, I would say the only time to put Tara on payroll would be to fund the 401k. So if I did pop this spouse onto payroll and funded the 401k, now it's paying off big time, because I can do one of 3 things. I can put Tara now on unemployment. I could also give her paid sick leave. or I could do family medical leave. So I've got 3 options for Tara. And so for you successful realtors, you're like, oh my gosh, my accountant never talked about a solo 401k and payroll for my spouse. This is why, again, when the dust settles, we want to go, oh my gosh, some proactive planning could be helping me in the long run. So just a thought on that.
And Mark, with that solo 401k, is that interchangeable with the self-directed SEP or the SEP IRA?
Yes. In fact, I have a few videos out there that say I screwed up and did a SEP. How do I get to a 401k? And I've modified my speech on that because in some scenarios, a SEP could be a good stepping stone to the 401k. And I do want to say that in the long run, my successful agents and brokers, we're going to move you to a solo 401k or even a group 401k. A group 401k is far better than a SEP if you have employees even. So it depends. You know, we're going to find, I know, in fact, I know with Michael and Tara, the SEP was worked out as a stepping stone to the 401k. If you don't mind me saying, Michael, I think that's okay.
No, that's great.
Okay.
And by the way, a couple of real quick comments. Mike Bjorkman said that he just recently, and a lot of you guys know, a lot of our clients know Mike, he just recently had a consultation with your office, loved it, got a ton of value out of it. I've actually had several people mention that in the thread here. Betsy,
thank you so much.
Wayne Walsh again says, hey, you guys are right. Our business 4x, quadrupled overnight when the crisis hit because we adjusted and are a part of the solution. So you guys, that's exactly what we're talking about. You guys got to adjust with what's going on.
Okay. Now I'm going to burn through these 8. We'll do any final questions. We'll get you guys out of here.
Perfect.
So, stimulus checks, unemployment, SBA loan forbearance. Now, some of you may have an SBA loan on a building. Michael, right there. Dude, I'm going to say it too.
I didn't even have to call them. They sent me a letter. Hey, by the way, brother, no payments for 6 months.
Oh,
right on. Literally, I did nothing. I have no payments on my building for 6 months. How do you lose there? That's phenomenal.
It's crazy. Now, but some of you, again, now I'm just going to throw out an idea here. Some of you that are looking to get in touch with some of these prior buyers or prior sellers that you've worked with in last year, go ahead and take my article, the 8 steps to take advantage of the stimulus package and be part of the solution by reaching out to your clients going, hey, I was just on this webinar with Kohler. I think when we bought your building, you had an SBA loan. How's it going? Did you get the forbearance? And they're going to go, how'd you know? I'm in the know. I'm a realtor that can help you. Have you taken advantage of the other strategies? No, I had no idea. Well, let me send over an article to you. Now, who do you think that client's going to think of?
Dude, I want to touch on this. You guys, you don't know, Thomas Stanley, the guy that wrote The Millionaire Next Door and also wrote a great book named Networking with Millionaires. Brilliant guy. And he talks about, and even Napoleon Hill talked about, you don't need to be the expert, be the connector. When you connect people to the expert, you all of a sudden become an expert because of association. So when you're suggesting to people, hey, look, have you done this? And they say, oh, no, I didn't. Or even if they say, oh, yeah, I did. What about these other 7 steps? You need to talk to Mark. You become the connector. You become an expert by association. You guys, I cannot stress enough, this is important stuff. This will move the needle in your business, regardless of what business you're in. You want to be seen as a resource. Be that.
Yep. So the point here on number 3 is some of you may not have an SBA loan, but you helped a client buy a property in the last 2 years that does have an SBA loan. This is a good time to call them and ask them how they're doing and ask them if they got this. And we need reasons to call our buyers and sellers. Number 4, retirement accounts. We went in depth in this in the last webinar. So I'm just going to say the only new strategy I've had here that's kind of fun, that's developed over the last week, is some clients are saying, my income's down, I want to do a Roth conversion right now. How do I come up with the money to pay the tax on the Roth conversion? We're seeing clients put money into that 401k and then roll it out as a loan, which is tax-free, to pay the tax on the Roth conversion inside the 401k. So you can be very creative here in your consultation with my team. If you call, make sure you say, oh, I've got some money in a retirement account maybe a Roth conversion, and then a rollback loan to pay the tax could put you in a better spot 5 years from now. So retirement accounts are accessible. Be careful tackling those unless you have a good reason. We already talked about the PPP, the EIDL, and then finally, I want to say this is emergency paid sick leave. There's nothing wrong sending your spouse or your parents home if they've been on payroll and give them paid sick leave. There's 3 reasons where you get my pen's not working. 3 reasons to get 100% reimbursement by the government. Then we have family medical sick leave. So get over there to the longer webinar. These, nothing new here, but it's part of the 8. And like I said, I got a client where we hit 6 out of the 8, $229,000 worth of benefit. I'm excited. I want to break that record. Some of you might be the one, but think big and don't feel like it's all lost if you don't have a consult with someone in the next 4 days. It could be 3 weeks from now, and it's perfect timing because things are evolving.
Yep.
Any other questions in the chat? Anything else, guys?
On that same topic, I know SBA forbearance. What have you been hearing about residential mortgages for people who have mortgages on forbearance? What have you heard on that?
Okay, so let's say, gosh, come on, what's going on? What happened here? Did I hit something here? Sorry, thanks everybody. Give me a second here. I want to, I wonder if it's out of juice.
While you're doing that,
I'm just gonna have to talk.
Go ahead. All right.
Okay, heaven forbid, I've got to actually just talk. I'm a whiteboard junkie.
And by the way, I think it's again notable that that machine that continues to run out of battery for you in the middle of our webinars is an Apple device and not a Microsoft Surface Pro, which it should be. Yeah, I'm just saying. I thought I'd throw that out there.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Exactly. Right. Kind of like your freaking device there.
All right. Now let's say, oh my gosh, my board's rolling on me here. All hell's breaking loose. Okay, here's my LLC with a rental. When you go, okay, I'm just going to put it out. If you have a single family home rental sitting in an LLC and you get an idle, if it comes to the point where you have to apply for forgiveness of that grant, which so much of the SBA website is like, once we approve you, you're done, stay away. That's what we're hearing and seeing. But if you pay the mortgage on this rental property that has no rents right now in the crisis, I've heard, and we're in the actual CARES Act, which is 800 pages long, it says the loan is reduced by the interest payment portion, not the principal portion. Now, again, you can also pay yourself. You can find some other ways to get that forgiven if necessary. But to be specific, I want to be transparent and say, I believe it's the interest portion of the loan that reduces the 10 grand if it needs to be applied for to be forgiven. Okay, any other questions on the chat, people? I know it was a marathon, but this is important money-making stuff. Anything else?
We have a bunch, but I want to make sure we get to the ones that you've got in the chat that you're following, and then I'm going to go into the last couple of the ones.
Everybody, thank you for your patience. I don't mean to go on these tangents just for the fun of it. Sometimes there's a golden nugget in there that's so important.
Okay, so let me, on the forbearance really quick with the houses, guys, while Long's looking up his next question, just so you know, be careful, because a lot of times when you talk to your mortgage company, they'll say, oh yeah, no worries, you don't have to make a payment for 3 months, but at the end of it, they want their 90 days of payments all at one time. So it's really important that you have the conversation with them, because some lenders are, like Long and I have both been reaching out to our lenders because we want to find this out and we want to see what are people really offering. And I'm telling you, some of them are offering really sexy packages. Well, they'll say, all right, tell you what, you can choose whether or not you make a payment for the next 6 months. At the end of the 6 months, what we're going to do is you have 3 choices. You can either take the money from the last 6 months that didn't get paid, and you can amortize that out over the next 2 years and make payments on it in addition to your regular payments over the next 2 years. Or you can pay us in one lump sum, or we'll recast your loan to a 40-year loan and put that money, wrap that money into that new loan. So let me tell you, some of the banks, not all of them, but some of the banks are getting really creative with this. And I'll tell you, the ones that really learned their lesson from 2007 to 2011, those banks are probably going to be a little bit more careful and make sure that they offer more and better options for you, because they understand what bad debt does to their books. They don't want bad debt. They want to keep you in compliance. And by the way, when it comes to credit reporting, also the banks that do this with you, if they do a forbearance agreement with you, they will report the loan. You have to double check with your bank on this, but they will report your loan as paid as agreed, so it won't even affect your credit negatively.
Okay.
That's a big deal.
I like it. I like it. I've got to give some bad news here for some people out there, and this is a hard one. I don't even want to call this client that's asking about it right now. If you had an S corp last year and you didn't do payroll, I don't know how you're going to get the PPP, because it's based on payroll. And if you go, well, my accountant kicks out a 1099 or does a guaranteed payment or does something to shoot the money out to a Schedule C, now you're going to be applying under a Schedule C that has this weird payment from an S corp. So some people are calling me up saying, well, I didn't do my W-2 for last year in my S corp. Can I amend my 941 and go file it? It's a 10% penalty on the tax you owe for the FICA. I would just run the numbers, call your accountant up and say, I didn't do my W-2 for last year. It's going to be late, but I want to get the PPP. So run the numbers, but I don't think you're going to get it unless you go process a W-2. It's just not going to happen. That's some bad news for some of you that are disorganized, and you got to just remember that this is a wake-up call to be better organized. Okay, Long, any questions on the chat from you?
All I know is that when we first started this, you guys wanted to schedule for 30 minutes, and I said we'd be lucky to be the 90. We're at the 90-minute mark. So far, I don't have anything. Looks like you did an awesome job answering. Michael, do you have anything from you, in front of you?
We do. One comment that I wanted to relay that's mentioned in the chair, Priyanka, she makes a very good point. You know, right now, there's a lot of great talent out there. There are a lot of companies that are unfortunately laying people off or furloughing people that are really talented individuals. You guys, this is a phenomenal time to hire the best talent. And listen, Long and I will both, and Mark too, if there's one thing the three of us know, it's if you want to grow business exponentially, it comes down to the right people. All the other stuff doesn't matter. If you got the wrong people, you're going to fail. If you've got the right people, they will figure out how to help you to succeed. So now is a better time than ever. And I'm going to say now, meaning between now and I'm going to say probably 3 months from now, best time ever to hire the very best people out there and really take your business to the next level. So
yeah, no, great comment.
All right. So that said, Long, you said you don't have any more questions in your chat. We've got a whole bunch in ours, but dude,
you think we hit it all? Anything out of you on that, or you scroll through it? Something we missed, a little weird nuance or anything?
I have one. Actually, I want to ask selfishly for myself, because our company, Michael, you and I, we're still growing. So let's say you got the PPP, and then you hire somebody. Does that qualify to come out of the PPP because we're growing, even though we did not have them on the payroll already?
Yes. Now here, and I had to charge the pen. Let's see. We're back in business. You know, you can charge these things remotely. I mean, Mike. Okay. Remember, once you get the PPP money, okay. So you get your PPP money. You have 8 weeks to spend it on payroll, retirement, contributions for your employees, and rent for the business. Now, remember, you got a loan based on 2.5 of payroll. So that means you've got 0.5 of stuff to come up with to get it forgiven. So what I would say, and now remember, in order to get it forgiven, you have to maintain the same, at least maintain the same, so well, I'm going to say it this way, 75% of the same number of employees and amount of payroll. If you have more than a 25% reduction, they will not forgive it. You've got to in order to get the payroll piece, you have to stay within 25% of your number of employees and payroll level.
Now you're saying you have to be no less than, but what if you are more than?
It's fine. Yeah, you're good. So okay. When you're saying, I got to chew up this 5, maybe you pay yourself more, you give some bonuses out, you hire more employees. Hey, the government's happy with that because you're going to use that money to go freaking throw it into the economy.
Because I can use EIDL for business expenses, which can help pay rent and take the money from here for payroll, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Now, here's something we're seeing too. On your applications, you're going to say, Mark, you never said this. If the government discovers that you did both, and it's fine, if the government sees that you did both the PPP and the EIDL, okay, I'm going to say it this way. If you get the EIDL before the PPP funds, they say they're going to reduce the EIDL by 10%. So I'm sorry, not by 10%. They're going to reduce the PPP by 10 grand if you get the EIDL before the PPP funds, because they're like, well, you already got the EIDL, so we're going to reduce the PPP. So that's what they're saying. My banker asked me, have you got the EIDL yet? I said, nope. He said, all right, there's your PPP. You're good. Go have fun. Spend it. All righty. I just wanted to make sure everybody's answers or questions got answered, but I'm grateful for Club Wealth. I'm grateful for what the coaches are doing. They're on the front lines. I mean, Michael really doesn't do much. All the coaches really do it all. And just joking, giving them crap. But no, I'm grateful to be a part of Club Wealth. And many of you, I hope to get to know you better as you do your Club Wealth events, whether I'm in it virtually or at the conference in November. Let's cross our fingers. We're all together there. And just grateful to be involved. Thanks.
I love it. Those of you that have been asking, yes, you will be able to see the recorded replay of this if you go to facebook.com/groups/Club Wealth. The replay will be there. And again, if you want to reach out to Mark and his team, if you would like to schedule a consultation, and dude, I'm telling you, do it. It's worth it. Spend the money, do the consultation, let them figure this out for you. Just go to clubwealth.com/CPA, and that will put you in touch with them. So that said, Mark, cannot thank you enough. Coach Long, seriously, thank you, brother. You always ask the best questions.
Great questions.
Anything else from either of you before we wrap it up?
No, just.
We'll all get through this together, everybody.
Yeah, if you feel like you're about ready to lose it, we all feel that way a little bit. You're not alone. Reach out, talk to someone. Don't be isolated. Get out there. This is where I've talked about having your board of advisors. Have a virtual meeting. I've talked about this for years, and it's in our content and what we've been teaching. I'm going to leave that as a final tip. Build a little board of advisors, 3 to 5 people that believe in you. Have a Zoom meeting this weekend. I challenge all of you, call a board meeting this weekend. Share with people what you're doing. Get their advice. You might get a golden nugget, and at the very least, they're going to hold you accountable to your plan. And you're not going to feel alone and isolated. Get that board put together.
Dude, we've been saying this for a long time, you guys. This is, again, it's exactly why you have your coach. Like when you're stressed out, if you're feeling bipolar today, and dude, you're going to have days and weeks and maybe even months where you're like up and down and you don't know. Dude, reach out to your coach. Have the conversation with your coach. Get the answers you need from your coach. And if your coach doesn't know what the answers are, they'll know where to find them. So ask your coach. And to Mark's point, put your coach on your board of advisors. You guys, you need to get the right help. Make sure that you're getting help from people that have been where you want to go. All right, guys, seriously, thank you so much. This has been fantastic once again. Have an awesome day, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll keep you posted as updates come available. Take care.
Thank you.